Yes, it's I, the Mystic Philosopher. And thanks again for tuning in to this post and another perspective with I, the Mystic Philosopher. Yes, it's high time for reason and for reasoning. Today I will just be answering a question from one of my highly melanin enriched sisters, aka my African sister. In fact, it was actually two questions, one from another sister, but she had withdrawn, evidently had withdrawn her question. And the question from the sister is like this, goes like this. Hi, Mystic. Do you believe in soulmate? Now, I have a guest in my studio. I have a guest with me today. And I would just like to get a feedback before I get into my prepared notes. As you guys know by now, I normally prepare before I present anything. But I would just like to get a female perspective. See if I could add some spice to this presentation today. So, tell me now, my sister. What do you think about the question? Do you believe in soulmate? Just freelance. You weren't prepared. I know I catch you on the spot, but I just want to try something.
Soulmate. Actually, I never thought about saying soulmate.
Soulmate, yeah. It's a woman asked the question. A sister asked the question.
So I know, like, people always ask, like, soulmate meaning like from my true love kind of thing. Is that the perspective?
I don't know. I just want your perspective.
Well,
no matter. Just tell me. Yeah. I have my prepared stuff, so
okay.
But I just like to hear from you.
Well, personally, I never look at anything as soulmate. But you know what? If I was to think about soulmate, right? I wouldn't think on like you being my soulmate. Yes, we married like for X amount of years, right? But I don't think of you as a soulmate. I think just thinking, I think a soulmate would be possibly someone or someone's, not only one, that I went way back with. Probably my cousins, be it girl, be it boys, grow up in the same yard. From the time I become and know who I was, they were with me. And possibly because like we grew up, we share all that things together. We went through so much, and maybe we kind of split ways, right? But still, in me, it's not hard to reconnect to that people or persons or whatever, right? I personally think, like right now, I have my cousin. We grew up from the time as long as I know who I am, he was. Okay? It's not no funny business. Let me just put that in the thing. No. Right? And even now, he's in England, I am here, and when we connect, it's like nothing has been missing, right? We have that soul connection. To me, that's my perspective. I don't know if we're going to think it's wrong, right? But my perspective...
Your perspective can never be wrong.
Exactly. Okay. Good. Well, from how I look at it, I think he, of one of the others, is my soulmate. Again, like mate. When I think of mate, we have classmate, we have this mate, we have schoolmate, we have classmate, we have workmate, we have whatever. And there I'm just seeing you for the first time. I'm like, let's say 40. And I'm looking at you like, I think you're my soulmate. I don't know. And then, how long does a soulmate last? if that we get that certain connection and we become, in that relationship thingy, and relationship break, what do I say? And I see somebody else, that other person again would be my soulmate? I don't know. How many soulmates do we really have per lifetime? If, as I said, from my perspective, I think the people that I'm connected to in the beginning, who know me in out, who I know in out, and without any doubt, I personally would look at those people as my soulmate.
It's very...
As I said, I don't know as to what level, right?
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's a new perspective to even my presentation right now.
Really?
And as the saying goes, a woman's touch is always the thing that flavor everything I do the most. So I'm sorry I didn't warn you already. I know it's a spontaneous, but beautiful. That's a perspective on soulmate, right? So I'm just gonna share if you while I'm doing it, you wanna let's say chime in or come in. That's fine.
Okay.
Right. So yes. So that was my. Well, she said not soulmate, but one of my mates.
Exactly.
Wow, one of my mates who happened to be in the studio with me today as a result of this crazy COVID-19, as they call it, quarantine business. Right? So that's also her perspective. So let me get into this now and share what I have prepared, right? And piggyback on some of the things that she had said, right? So, Mystic, do you believe in soulmate? Now, in order for me to answer this question, which I had time to, unlike you, to the best of my ability, I will have to ask a few more questions myself. The first question is, who is a soulmate? You gave me your perspective on soulmate, that's fine. Or what is a soulmate? What are we talking about when we say soulmate? Do they exist? Or do soulmates really exist? And here I would like to answer the last question first by saying yes, soulmates or soulmate and soulmates do exist. In fact, as the Mystic Philosopher, I have to take it a step further and say that there is nothing that you can think of. There is nothing that you and I can think of or talk about that does not exist. As the saying goes, that which is needs no proof, and that which is not cannot be proven. So who is a soulmate? Or what is a soulmate? And to shed some light on this question as we search for an answer, let's look at the word soulmate. Here we see that, like almost all, if not all, English words, it is a compound word. Compound meaning that it is made up of more than one word. In this case, it is made up of two words, the word soul and the word mate. Soul is the spiritual, the non-physical, the immaterial, or the metaphysical part of a human, or also of an animal. And depending on one's level of enlightenment, soul is also the immaterial part of a natural object, a natural object such as the soul of a tree. Now, as I said, this is dependent on a person's level of enlightenment and awareness and spiritual knowledge, because this will sound crazy to the average person who is not on that wavelength. So the soul of a tree, the soul of the earth, etc., and the soul of anything is regarded as being immortal, meaning it cannot die. It doesn't really cease to exist, right? It cannot cease to exist, or it cannot cease to be. Now, let's look at the word mate, M-A-T-E. The word mate by meaning and definition is as follows. 1. When it is used as a noun, it means a member of a pair of birds or other animals. Pair here meaning two, aka one of two. So we talk about pair of shoes, two shoes, left and right. Pair two. And again, as a noun, it means a fellow member or joint occupant of a specified thing. Example, and you made reference to one earlier, shipmates, right? All part of a shipmates, a part of the crew. Table mates, classmates, which you talked about, and also roommates, etc. Now, mate, when the word mate is used as a verb of an animal or birds, it means of an animal or birds coming together for breeding, or breeding, and breathing, but breeding, or to copulate. And two, the word mate also means to connect, to join, or to be connected mechanically. Like, for example, the female plug, the plug that you plug into the wall, the socket is called the female, and the one you put in is called a male. So you connect them mechanically. So you mate them together, female, male, and female. Now, when most people think about soulmate, talk about soulmate, or when they hear or when they use the word soulmate, they are thinking of talking about or wishing for that one perfect person, or that one perfect human, or that perfect man or perfect woman that is perfectly suited in their own minds, perfectly suited for them. That ideal human or that ideal person, that person or human that will complement them perfectly. That person or human that will have and hold them, love and cherish them, respect and protect them. One that will turn all their gray skies blue, that is not me. Right? Their dark days into sunshine. Come on, I want to get serious about this thing. Sunny, shiny days. One that soulmate, that person that just the mention of their name turns their flicker into a flame, right? That one perfect partner for life, or even beyond this life. There are some people who talk about soulmate, they're talking about from eternity till eternity and beyond, right? That is what soulmate means rather to most people, or at the very least, most people that I talk to and listen to. But is that true? Is that possible? And is that realistic? Those ideal requirements, specifications. Meaning, is it possible to find any human, be it a man or a woman, that possessed all of the aforementioned perfect qualities and characteristics. You found one. Right?
Okay.
Is it really possible to find that one person, that one perfect one? Well, I must admit that all things are possible. You finish it. All things are possible, but I must also admit that all things are possible only to those who believe. And please note that it is not. Please note that it is only possible for those who believe, aka a believer. However, to the thinker or the knower, to those that are about thinking, reasoning, and knowing, and to those that are in the know, it might not be possible. Meaning it might be possible to find such an ideal human. And so, because I am not a believer, I honestly don't think and I honestly don't believe that it is possible to find any human that is perfect, let alone that perfect. Truth be told, there is no perfect man and there is no perfect woman. For if we say that we have no faults, then we are deceiving ourselves. And the truth is not in us. And regrettably, the reason why a lot of our melanin African men and women are still single, and some are darn miserable today, is because they are searching and searching. As it says, searching and searching. They are searching and searching, dreaming and hoping to find that perfect man or that perfect woman. Some call him Mr. Right and Miss Right. Their knight in, some call them their knight in shining armor, their perfect queen and empress, you name it. And nowhere is this more prevalent than among those of my people that are called and that call themselves believers and true believers. I have both seen and known of men and women, sisters and brothers that have proclaimed and are proclaiming that they have successfully searched for and have found their perfect dream job. They have found their the perfect job. They have found their perfect dream house or the perfect house. Their dream car, their perfect car, you name it. But even at what may be considered by many to be old age or their senior years, these very highly successful and highly accomplished people, highly melanin enriched men and women alike, are still searching and can't find the perfect man or the perfect woman, the perfect girl or the perfect mate, etc. AKA their soulmate for them to be fully accomplished. Frankly, some are lonely and miserable with only their material wealth and success, but no one to really fully share it with. And for those of us who feel it and know it, we know that it is not good for a man to be alone. And I just like to quote one of my favorite songs from Tom Jones, a song that I wish they would have played it more often, but I guess things change now. It's called A Woman's Touch by Tom Jones, and the words go like this. I will recite it, not sing it. He said, right from the first day, one man stood alone, and somehow he missed what didn't exist. How could he have known? He looked all around him, and then he lifted his head, for he heard a voice and rose to rejoice as somebody said, This place needs a woman's touch to share in the plan, for without a woman's touch, life don't mean much to a man. He said, up through the ages, the story is the same. A king to himself, alone with his wealth, is living in vain. Cause his castle will crumble, and he'll wonder why. Cause wealthy or poor, there's one thing for sure that he just can't deny: the need of a woman's touch to share in the plan. For without a woman's touch, life don't mean much to a man. Said, I was a drifter who couldn't be tamed, so reckless and wild, but lost like a child whose dreams never came. Then I felt the pleasure of love's happiness while looking in her eyes, and then I realized, hey, I'm truly being blessed. So be more. Don't use add the word there. I'm not about be less. I'm be more. He said, thank God for a woman's touch. Or thank the source for a woman's touch to share in the plan, for it took my woman's touch to make me feel like a man. Again he repeat, thank God for a woman's touch to share in the plan, for it took my woman's touch to make me feel like a man. So, a woman's touch. And I guess the woman will say, a man's touch. Okay. Still on soulmate. It is just not good for a man to be alone. And I will also take the liberty and say that it is not good either for a woman to be alone. And where did this idea of soulmate, and particularly the perfect soulmate that they, meaning my people, have been looking for almost all their entire lives? Most people still looking for their soulmates. Where did it came from? Where was it originated? Or with whom did it originate? Soulmate. Well, the evidence has shown that neither the word soulmate or the popular concept of a perfect soulmate that these my own African people, my own African brothers and sisters are believing and practicing is Afrocentric. It is not Afrocentric. It's not Afrocentric ideology. But that it is what I call Caucasocentric. Also erroneously referred to as Eurocentric ideology. But as you know, I don't use the word Euro. I say Caucasocentric. And the evidence also shows that the same is true of that which is called marriage and the perfect marriage. It is also not Afrocentric, but it is Caucasocentric or Caucasocentric. No wonder they can't find a good enough African or a good enough melanin man or woman to partner with, to mate with, and to live a complete, happy, and fulfilled life with. It is because of the Caucasocentric, because of their Caucasocentric thinking. And I'm not necessarily blaming them, because these ideology and these thoughts have been inculcated in us as a result of what we have been through, having to deal with the
storybooks.
Yeah, the Caucaside. Yeah, as you mentioned, their storybooks, their fairy tales, their whole system. It is because they are looking at, in other words, they can't find this person among our own people. It's because they are looking at, searching for, and trying to imitate the wrong model, the wrong culture, the wrong religion, and the wrong tradition. Now, where did it start? According to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary online, under the subtitle Soulmate and Poetry, the earliest known use of the word, or the earliest known use of the word soulmate, is found in an 1822 letter from an English poet, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, to a young lady, in which he writes, and I quote, "To be happy in marriage, or to be happy in marriage life," let me start and see if I can reread that. He said, "To be happy in married life, nah."
Okay.
And continued, he said, "In order not to be miserable," and another word for miserable is, of course, or another word for unhappy is miserable. So in order not to be miserable, or in order not to be unhappy, you must have a soulmate as well as a house, or a yoke mate. Unquote. This is what this poet and this English poet, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, in his letter to a young woman, I don't know if he was trying to quote her or if he was trying to give her advice. I don't know the circumstances. Enough information is not there for me to deduce under what circumstances did he write to her. But this is what he said to her. Right? This is the advice. I don't know if it was advice or whatever. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. Now the article, continue to quote from the article. It said, the word yoke mate, maybe it's the first you hear that word before, right? Yoke mate is used to refer to someone who is figuratively yoked to another, such as a close associate or a companion, or as Coleridge used the word, the poet Coleridge used the word, as a spouse. Coleridge advised to the recipient of his letter then is that she should not simply settle for a husband, but rather for a person whose character and sensibilities are of a nature suitable to her own. Soulmate, the article continues, he said, soulmate is now often used by English speakers to describe those with whom our bonds of affection are marked by a strong sense of like-mindedness and intertwined affinities, unquote.
Interesting.
Very. No, I personally find this article, and particularly his Coleridge statement, quote, to be happy in marriage life, nah. In order not to be miserable.
Okay, I got it.
Right? You must have a soulmate as well as a housemate, as well as a house or a yoke mate. Unquote. I find that along with the author's interpretation and commentary, quote, Coleridge advised to the recipient of his letter then is that she should not simply settle for a husband, but rather for a person whose character and sensibilities are of a nature suitable to her own, unquote. I find them very interesting and thought-provoking, to say the least, and therefore worthy of some further exploration, which I would do, and scrutiny. Now, please let me dissect them for you, beginning first with the quote, the statement, to be happy in marriage life, nah. Unquote. The word nay, N-A-Y, to the best of my knowledge, and according to the said Merriam-Webster's dictionary from which I read the article, means no. Nay, no, so, right? No. So if my interpretation of this quote from this letter is to be rather from this letter by the English poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Is it to a young lady? If my interpretation is correct, then he's either explicitly saying or somehow directly implying that one cannot be happy, let alone be truly happy in marriage life.
Right, that's what he's saying.
Or one cannot be truly happy in a marriage. Which then leads me to ask the question, what is a marriage? And the answer to this question is a whole separate topic for discussion all by itself. And I have also covered, and the one that I have also covered elsewhere in depth, and also on my YouTube channel. I've covered this subject. But for the sake of this discussion and answering the question, I think that it is safe to say that this thing called marriage in Western Caucasoid or Caucasocentric culture is an institution. Right?
Okay.
Right? So you see who feels it knows it. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Now, some believe that it is the Western Caucasoid, some believe that it is marriage, that it is a Western Caucasoid man-made institution. Others believe that it is the Western Caucasoid gods, or also known as the Adamic God. That it is his made institution. He made that institution. Whichever way you look at it, the fact is that marriage in the West, or in the Western world, here in the Western world, is an institution. Now it reminds me of a saying that I heard when I was a young bachelor and used to quote a lot while hanging out and having fun with my friends before I found myself bound and confined in one of the system's institution called marriage. And it goes like this. Marriage is an institution. And only the mentally and physically ill, the guilty, the insane, and the morally corrupt that belong in institutions. So I guess that was what Coleridge, was alluding to when he made the statement to be happy in marriage or in marriage life. Nah, or no. It's like impossible, right? He continued by saying, quote, in order not to be miserable, or in order not to be unhappy in a marriage, you must have a soulmate as well as a house or a yoke mate. Now, maybe because of my way of thinking and interpreting and my interpretation of the English language, but it sure reads and sounds as if he's saying that in order not to be miserable in a marriage life, or in order not to be miserable in a marriage, or in the institution called marriage, she, because he was writing to this young woman, she needs a soulmate as well as a house or a yoke mate. In other words, if she has a soulmate and a house, then she will be happy. Or it's possible that she might be happy.
But he didn't say that. He said you wouldn't be miserable. He didn't say you're going to be happy.
Well, he said in order to be happy. Yeah.
No, in order not to be miserable. He didn't say in order to be happy.
Okay. You know, if she has, and it continues, or if she has a soulmate but not a house, she will be unhappy. Right? And in order for her to be happy, she would have to also find herself a yoke mate to go along with her soulmate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I break it down
Sorry.
in pieces. It's a very sort of complex piece of writing or article or literature, the way it is being said and the way it's written. And bear in mind that this goes back to 1822, right? About 200 years ago. So, in summary, according to the English poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge, the qualification for a happy marriage is a soulmate and a house, or a soulmate and a yoke mate. Right? I recommend that other people who might be listening, those who might be listening to this and want to see the article themselves, it's right on the internet. Right? It's on the Merriam-Webster's dictionary online. Yeah, it's easy to be, under the subheading, I mentioned it above, right? Now, according to the article, said article, the word yoke mate is used to refer to someone who is figuratively yoked to another, such as a close associate or a companion, or as Coleridge used the word a spouse. Now, from my perspective, the very word yoke or yoked spell fear and burden to me. God, I'm not yoked to you because boy, I've been chop about the yoke a long time to ride with God. Trust me. What is a yoke? People hear these words, I really don't know. So I've tried to break things down for you, my sister. Right? What is a yoke? A yoke, by meaning and definition, according to the dictionary, is, and I quote, a wooden cross piece that is fastened over the necks of two animals and attached to the plow or cart that they are to pull, unquote. So if you notice, in some, they still do it today, like I think in Sri Lanka, other places, maybe in Africa too. I've never seen it in Africa, but the places where they use a cow and the plow and the two cow and the thing where you bind the two of them together.
Really?
So with a heal and marriage, I mean, as you shall slightly say, it's a plow, it's a yoke around the damn neck. You stay there. A Western philosophy, this. I will show you the difference between the Western philosophy and the Afrocentric philosophy. Right? Okay. And again, that's why some our women and some of our men can't find nobody. Right? Anyway, let me continue. I want to stray too far, right? According to the Western Caucasocentric concept and institution of this thing called marriage, a man is legally yoked, or to be more precise and to be even more accurate, a man is legally handcuffed, neck cuffed to a woman, and the legal term for that action and eventuality is husband. Meaning, he is not only handcuffed, neck cuffed, or both to the woman, but he is now legally bound to a house with the woman to which he is handcuffed, neck cuffed, or both. And just for your information, according to the online etymology dictionary, the word hus, in fact, husband is a compound word also, consisting of two words, hus, H-U-S, and band, B-A-N-D. So according to the online etymology dictionary, the word hus means house, or dwelling place, house. And the word band, B-A-N-D, means bond, B-O-N-D. Or binds, B-I-N-D-S, or B-I-N-D. AKA, meaning anything that binds, fasten, or confines. So not only is a married man legally yoked, meaning handcuffed, neck cuffed, or both, to the woman that now legally becomes his wife, but he's also legally confined to his house. That's why I think I'm here today.
Shut up.
My friends of ours ask, "What do you can't leave the house, Mystic?" Now you guys, if you guys have to watch this, so you know, I'm legally
Oh Lord.
cuffed and bound to the house. Now, if this is not a prison or a prison sentence, then I don't know what really is.
Well, we go to prison together.
Now, and here's where I ask you all, my African, and melanated sisters, to pay very, very close attention. And hopefully, you will see and know why some of you, or some of us, your African brothers, aka your melanin men, are so afraid of the caucasocentric word and concept called commitment. Afraid of it. Yeah. Because intuitively and instinctively, we know that it is not an Afrocentric thing. It is not in our DNA. No. Somehow we know that the moment we commit to anything, we are committed to one of the Caucasoid systems institution. In this case, the one called marriage. Just think for a brief moment on all the evils that are associated with the word, or with the words and concepts called commit, committed, and commitment. Examples. To commit crimes, to commit violence, to commit sins, to commit murder, to commit an offense, to commit fornication, to commit adultery, to commit war crimes, to commit atrocities, to commit genocides, to commit abortion, to commit to God, to commit the dead. Then to be committed to jail, to be committed to prison, to be committed to work, to be committed to God, to be committed to your wife, to be committed to the grave. And with all of that, or to your woman, with all of that, you're expecting to be fully committed to your spouse. Now, the woman in marriage is also legally yoked, aka legally handcuffed or legally neck cuffed to the man. And the legal term for that, for what she then becomes, is called a wife. And please note that not his equal. A wife is not a man's equal, according to the whole caucasocentric ideology, the whole caucasocentric concept of marriage, concept both in practice and in theory. And please note that she is not his equal, but his helper, aka his servant. But this is also a topic all by itself that I will be covering and sharing my perspective on shortly. So please stay tuned. I will be dealing with that shortly. I know by saying that a woman, luckily, it's not, a married woman is a wife, and that the word wife don't really mean
something nice.
Is his equal, or as you rightly said, yeah, something nice, right? But because most of us don't know. Most of us don't take the time to look into these things, or even compare, the action with the words. So just to summarize here from all this, a soulmate could be interpreted as a sweetheart and the yoke mate, the wife or husband, because the sweetheart isn't yoked to the man. The sweetheart, I will call it the Jamaican, or matey, he isn't yoked to the man, the husband. She free. She ain't washing him clothes. She ain't sewing nothing for him. You know what I mean? The sweetheart ain't yoked. It's the wife that is yoked to be his servant. The sweetheart ain't obligated to do certain things. Right? But more on this at another time. I will have much more to say on this. So please, guys, stay tuned. So please let me now share with you from my natural Afrocentric or natural African-centered perspective what a soulmate is. The soul, or that which is called the soul, is totally independent of, or if you prefer, it is totally separated from that which is called our physical body. In other words, one is spirit and the other is flesh. Therefore, our real soulmate is what may be best described as our whole self. Whole self meaning when our physical body mates with our soul and vice versa, meaning when our soul mates with our physical body, becomes whole.
That makes sense.
And aka is called, also known as body and soul. A unit.
That makes sense.
Or a unity. That's your real first soulmate. Your body and your soul.
Yeah.
That is our real and true soulmate. And what is the purpose of this unity, aka this soulmate, you may be asking, or some of you may ask? It is to come alive. It is to experience, learn and enjoy this thing that we call life as a human in this realm or in this plane of existence. So our first responsibility as soulmates is to take care of each other and make each other healthy and happy. In other words, the first commandment as basic logic coupled with our activated common sense will affirm is that we should love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Meaning, we must love, respect, and take care of ourselves first. A healthy body and a healthy soul makes a wholesome human. Meaning, we must first love, respect, and take care of ourselves. I will take care of me for you. And hopefully you take care of you for me. And I hereby beg that you do not misinterpret or misconstrue what I am saying in thinking that I am promoting narcissism or for us to become narcissistic. As mentioned before, the word mate means to join, to connect, to come together. I have also explained that from my perspective, the purpose of our soulmate, aka our body and our soul connecting together, or coming together, is to experience, learn, and enjoy this thing called life as human in this realm or in this plane of existence. What then is the purpose of two individual soulmates coming together on this physical plane? From the Mystic Philosopher's perspective, first, it is in total and natural obedience to the first law of our mother nature, aka the law called self-preservation. Quote, self-preservation is the first law of nature. Proverb, all living things prioritize their own survival above all else and will do what is necessary to stay alive. Unquote. And this is from the Free Dictionary by Fairlex. So the purpose of two individual soulmates, aka African or melanin man or melanin man and melanin African and melanin woman, or an African melanin male or an African female coming together on this plane or in this natural and physical world is to form a natural union for the perpetuation of the life of us African or melanin humans, aka self-preservation, or for the purpose of preserving themselves and preserving ourselves. Meaning, from that natural African union comes life everlasting. And by fulfilling this, the first law of our mother nature, we will get an experience of at least 4 P's. Namely, pleasure, pain, picnic. For those of you who don't know the word picnic, mean children, and problem. 4 P's. You can't go through this life and through this plane without some form of challenges. I always like to remind my highly melanin brothers and sisters, aka my African men and African women, that the only thing that our most honorable African ancestors ask of us, and the only responsibility that they are expecting of us to honor and fulfill is for us to do, is to preserve their seeds that they have passed on to us, and for us to pass on to each other, so that our days may be long upon the land, aka the earth, that they have given to us and have left for us. Simply put, Africans must mate with Africans, so that Africans will continue to live. Self-preservation. Another word, or some of the words for soulmate meeting, are sex, mating, breathing, copulating, lovemaking, etc. In other words, as part of us Africans obediently fulfilling the first and most important law of our mother nature, aka the law of self-preservation, Africans must be soulmate. In other words, Africans must be soulmate meeting, sexing, mating, breeding, copulating, lovemaking, etc., etc., so that the will of our ancestors, the will of our most honorable African ancestors, be done on earth as it is being done wherever they are, in the ancestral world, in the spirit world. And with the exception of 3 reptiles that I'm currently aware of, namely the boa constrictor, the monitor lizard, and the Komodo dragon, that are asexual, meaning they are both capable of becoming pregnant and reproduce themselves without mating or without male fertilization. All other birds, most plants and animals that are natural in nature, mate with their opposite sex in obedience to the first law of our mother nature. And just for your information, the process of self-impregnation by these 3 reptiles is also called Parthenogenesis. However, according to zoologists and scientists, this form of reproduction is not the preferred method, and that it has evolutionary disadvantages for the species, as it constitutes a form of inbreeding that reduces genetic diversity. So my sister, I do hope that I did answer the question. Mystic, do you believe in soulmate? I do hope that I do answer it to your satisfaction. And if I did not answer it to your satisfaction, I do hope that I did, that at the very least, I do hope that I did give you something or something more to think about. You have anything else? I'm wrapping up now. Okay. So thanks for the question, my dear sister. it kept me mentally occupied and spiritually engaged. And it was able to bring my partner here into the discussion. And thanks to you all that watch and listen. Your thoughts and commentaries and these my perspectives are welcome. And please stay tuned, for I will be back with much more thought-provoking perspectives. Stay tuned. We are coming soon. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe Ayase. I am the Mystic Philosopher.